In charges joins us in studio now. Thank you for joining us, Mzwanele. We live in a country where free speech is encouraged. Many people see it as a democratic right. Why should this be treason and not free speech?
Yeah, thank you very much. Excuse my voice, I've got a bit of flu.
No problem.
Yeah, look, I think we must separate this. Free speech is one thing, but to actively mobilize business in this country, to basically remove the state, he heard it himself, to do a regime change using means that are unconstitutional is actually unlawful. This is actually an act of economic terrorism. We've got laws in this country that Pityana and Anglo Ashanti have acted against. You must remember that in South Africa, there's a law called Tara, which is the protection of constitutional democracy against terrorism and related activities act. This is the law that Anglo Ashanti's chairman has broken. A few clauses there that militate against economic terrorism. So what he has said is really fatal for this country because...
So calling for the president to step down is economic terrorism? It seems a bit extreme.
No. I think you just try and listen carefully. I said freedom of speech is nothing wrong, but to actively mobilize, this is the issue, to actively mobilize, to call upon business, to have all kinds of meetings, to do all kinds of activity, to ensure that your reckless pronouncements are put into action. That deed of doing those things is actually a misconduct, is actually a contravention of the laws of this country, and it should not be tolerated.
Mzwanele, we have this history. I mean, look at apartheid days. If you believe that the head of a country should not be there, shouldn't you be compelled by your conscience to speak out?
I'm disappointed that you compare the apartheid situation with a democratic situation. Today is very different from the apartheid days when it was an illegitimate minority white rule over the majority of the people of this country. Today we've got a democratically elected government, we've got constitutional democracy, we've got a rule of law, we are internationally recognized. We cannot have people operating as if this is a banana republic. There are laws in this country. If you want to remove a president, there's a process. Even the Constitution has got two sections that deal with this, Section 102, Section 89. So there's provisions for this. So there's no reason for people to create anarchy in this country. There is no reason for people to ensure that they undermine the business confidence in this country, which can result in rating agencies downgrading us into junk status. Totally uncalled for, totally irresponsible, must be condemned all round.
Some would argue that the president's move to remove Finance Minister Nene was more detrimental to our rating.
I think it is important to understand what we mean by by respecting the Constitution. Section 1 of the Constitution gives the president a prerogative on who to appoint. And there are no conditions in terms of who the president appoints or removes. When the president is acting within his constitutional right, people must respect that.
Mzwanele, this comes after you asked the public protector to investigate a whole lot of people. And I think you're also asking for an investigation against Maria Ramos in relation to Transnet. Are you not being a little bit litigious? A little bit unnecessarily aggressive against people who may seem to be your political enemies?
No. I think it's very important that in South Africa we must be consistent. The DA lives in court. In fact, they should have a room for the DA in court. When the DA does this, nobody's asking questions. When AfriForum does this, nobody's asking questions. Now, when we do this, then all of a sudden there are problems. This is the hypocrisy that we must get rid of in this country. And also the people that I'm talking about, these are the people that pretend in the public that they are noble, they are above board and all that. If that is the case, beg your pardon, let's allow the legal process of this country to pronounce on them. We can't have people that declare themselves noble. Let's have the systems declare them noble.
I think you're concerned about Medupi, Kusile, the two power plants, and you've mentioned Nhlanhla, Pravin Gordhan and Trevor Manuel, if I'm right. So these seem to be finance ministers, maybe aligned politically. They seem to like each other. What about former Eskom bosses? Why are they not included?
I think it's important for you to understand that the Eskom Medupi started in 2007. This is when Trevor Manuel was finance minister. I think it's also important for you to understand that in the Constitution, Section 216 puts the obligation of managing the financial affairs of this country flatly and squarely on National Treasury. When things are not going right in terms of that, the buck stops at National Treasury. National Treasury is the only department that can sign off guarantees. So when things are not going where they should be going, they have the constitutional authority to enforce compliance. They have the constitutional authority to make sure that no shenanigans financially happen. So if when they happen, National Treasury must be at the center of accounting. Trevor Manuel must account, Nhlanhla must account, and Pravin Gordhan must account.
Mr. Manyi, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Would this not be seen as you opposing anyone who opposes our president, maybe even being intimidatory?
I think it is important to set the record very straight. President Zuma is a democratically elected president of this country. I am a card-carrying African National Congress member. I voted for the African National Congress. I make no apology for supporting the leadership of President Zuma. I make no apologies for supporting the African National Congress and its entire leadership. So, and I'm not going to have time here to be, to be nursing factional battles. Anybody that is not supporting this democratically elected leadership is a factionalist, is ill-disciplined.
All right, thank you for your time this evening.
Yeah,
Mzwanele Manyi, former government spokesperson, now head of the Decolonization Foundation, bringing those charges against Sipho Pityana.